As of April, we just hit 7 months of living in Austin. And let me tell you, it has flown by. This transition to a new city has been so transformative. And I have so much gratitude for the life that I've been able to create for myself since moving to Austin back in September. I love the house that we live in. I'm excited for the life that I'm building with Kate and our two doggos. I'm grateful for the community people that I've been introduced to since moving here. I'm in the best spot of my career. I truly feel like the past 8 years have been leading up to this moment to be able to be full time on myself. And it feels so damn good. It is truly a dream come true, and I can't say it enough. I am so grateful for this career life for myself, because it feels like play to be recording this, even though this is quote unquote work to me. It doesn't feel like that at all. And I just feel mentally, physically, spiritually sound in all aspects of my life. Do I have those days where I am not doing great or I have my little hurdles? Absolutely. But at a high level, when I average it out, I just feel unstoppable. And I think a lot of that credit goes to this transition to a new city. Now, what's really interesting about my story and myself is that if you had asked me January of last year, January 2023, Bobby, are you going to ever move out of Los Angeles? I would have said, absolutely not. It's never going to happen. But yet here we are today in Austin, Texas. So I wanted to dedicate an entire episode to this transition, to what this past 7 months have looked like, because I do believe that there are people out there, and you listening might be one of those people, where we know that there's a change that should happen in our life, but we have so much resistance that's stopping us. And I've learned that through this experience of moving to Austin, it's been a reminder that you truly have to surrender to where life takes you. I could not have mapped out a year plus ago that I was going to live in Austin. I never thought this was in the cards to be a Texas resident. I just got my Texas ID, and it was my driver license ID. And I was like, wow, I just never saw this day coming. I really did believe I was going to be in California or LA specifically for the rest of my life. And things just happened, and it naturally just unfolded. And it has been so, so beautiful. And it's just been a reminder to me to go with the flow, to surrender. So it's been fantastic. The context, though, of how we ended up here is really important. And that is, it all started in February of last year. Kay and I were just beginning to rebuild our relationship after a 2-month plus hiatus break. And one of the things that she had communicated to me then, which she had also communicated to me pretty much right when we had started dating, was that she was itching and ready to get out of LA. She went to USC. She lived in LA much longer than I had. She was coming up on 12 years in the city, where I was coming up on 6 years, and she was done with it. She just wanted something new and was ready for a new city, a new change. So when she flagged this to me in February, we're in the middle of rebuilding a relationship. I remember, quote unquote, she said, like, I'm planning to leave LA when my lease is up in August. If that doesn't make sense to you or interest you, we should probably just stop now. And I was like, no, we're going to rebuild this relationship. And if that means I'm going to move out of the city of LA with you, then we're going to make that happen. My only request with her at the time was, if we do end up moving out of LA, I just want to be somewhere warm. I am done with snow. I'm done being in the Northeast where I had grown up. She was from Michigan, and I was really not trying to go back to any environment that had snow. And she was aligned. She was cool with that. So I was hesitant, but I was open-minded that if we went somewhere warm, I would be good. So we then took time, each other alone, to think about what would that next city look like. If we had to snap our fingers and go live in a new environment tomorrow, where would we want to go and why? For me, the only city that I could think of that was of interest and that had made any sense was Austin, Texas, because I had seen so many people move from LA to Austin over the years. I felt like it was a safe next step because I knew a lot of the things that I loved about LA, the wellness scene, the entrepreneur scene, the podcast scene, the creator scene. I knew it was huge out in Austin, and that felt, I don't want to say safety, but I knew that this city had the things that I loved. So for me, it was like Austin was a no-brainer as the next step. I did think about like SoCal, like different parts of San Diego or somewhere in between San Diego and LA, but it just didn't feel like worth it. If I was going to leave LA, to me, it was like, I need to leave California, because if I'm in California, I want to be in LA where all the opportunities and the fun is being had. And I didn't see myself moving an hour south, but still paying a lot of money for rent for a small apartment or for a small house. And so Austin was my number one. When I looked at Kate and I asked her what her number one was, similarly, she had this feeling and intuition with Austin being her next home. She also was not only looking for the things that I was interested in, the wellness, entrepreneur scene, creator scene, but she loved like the outdoors. She loved farms, horses, cowgirl, cowboy, everything. And that's probably why she got me to start watching Yellowstone last year, for this reason. She was priming me up for this moment, and it worked. But we ended up both recognizing Austin was a great next step potentially for us. We both had been there before. She had come out here for New Year's a few years ago. I had come out here in 2022 to run the BPN marathon. So I had a little taste of Austin. So with us recognizing Austin seems like the next best step, we decided to book a 5-day trip, actually April of last year, right? We figured, why not go out there and just see what the city's all about, give ourselves a few days to really check out the city, try things out, and see what happens. So we came out here, we saw that the city had a lot of things, like I had said, that we loved about LA. And after the trip, we went back to LA. We gave ourselves a week to think alone. And then I remember we were on a hike and we were going to talk about if Austin was the next move. And we made we made a deal where we were going to say on three, 1, 2, 3, yes or no. And I was not a very nice boyfriend. And we said 1, 2, 3, and Kate said yes. And I didn't say anything. And I felt bad because I know it was a really beautiful moment for us to like kind of say our truths at the exact same time. And I was trying to be a jokester. Inside, I was a yes for it. And ultimately we decided, okay, let's do Austin. Even if we don't choose Austin, what would the next city be? And if we didn't have any city on our radar, I don't know where we would have ended up if we didn't move to Austin. So we decided April of last year, early May, we are going to move to Austin. So from there, we then spent the next few months lining up all the logistics, right? Finding a place to live. That was a headache, as it always is, especially trying to find, moving in general is not easy, but when you're moving to a new city or a different state, there's a lot more resistance because we didn't have the ability to go check out these places in person. We did fly out and check out one spot. That didn't work out. And so we just decided we're going to have to look through Zillow. We're going to have to pick a spot based on a virtual tour, and we're just going to have to roll the dice. We found a place to live that we absolutely loved. It took us about 100 plus Zillows to go through, but we found this dream home and we loved it. Then we had to go on to figure out moving, the logistics. It ended up being honestly cheaper, not cheaper, but like pretty close to hiring a moving company. So we had them do that. We had our final kickoff in August of last year, our last goodbye going away party. And then on September 1, we packed up our car and we drove out to Austin, Texas. So those first, I still can remember when I close my eyes and visualize it. I can remember pulling into the street, seeing the moving truck already here, all of our stuff in the driveway, and thinking, I'm now in my new home. But those first couple of weeks were a mix of extremely exciting while also being extremely overwhelming, right? We were starting from scratch in a brand new city. And that is a huge, huge step. New city, new environment, new everything, right? We had to figure out what grocery store are we going to shop at? Where are our new coffee shops? What do our new workout routines look like? What are our new life routines? How are we spending our time? How are we designing our home? There was a lot of time and energy that was being put into this new life redesign, this new life that we were building for ourselves in Texas. So after those first few months, we really got settled. And I'd say like from end of October, early November, all the way through up until now, it's just been so beautiful, such a great, warming, incredible transition. And we are so very fortunate to be here. With that in mind, our lease does end in June. This was a 10-month lease, which I had never heard of. And we're not leaving anytime soon. I don't, I don't try to think about what's the 3 to 5 year, 10-year plan, because as I said, January of last year, if you ask me the 3 to 5, 10-year plan, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to live in LA for the next 3, 5, 10 years. And 3 months later, I was now realizing I'm moving out of LA. So I don't like to think too big picture, because I do think, a lot of things change, and interest, goals, things pop up, and you maybe have to move. So I don't think that far in advance, but I do know for sure that when our lease does end, we will re-sign and stay here, because Austin just feels like the place where we both need to be. And we are absolutely thriving, 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 thriving. And the only area we are both consciously working on that at this time, right? Like we both left our full-time gigs back in January, early February. So that's been incredible. We're both working on our own selves, like professional development, well-being, etc. I think the only thing that we're really doubling down on and trying to spend more time and energy on is building community, which just takes time. So I wanted to hit on 5 of the biggest lessons that I've taken away from this experience of leaving LA and moving to Austin, because it really has been a huge life redesign. And that is something that I preach so much in all of my content, right? This whole life design. And this has been one of the biggest chapter resets, but also has felt so frictionless and resistance free that that's how I know this was the right thing that needed to happen. Number 1, this was a two-way door decision. So Jeff Bezos has this belief that there are 2 basic kinds of decisions that you can make. And I heard this on his podcast with Lex Friedman a few months ago. There's type 1 decision, which is almost impossible to reverse, which means you walk through the door and you can't walk back out that same door. That could be selling your company, quitting your job, maybe selling your home, etc. Once the decision is made, it's pretty hard to go back on it. It's a one-way door decision. Number 2 is, or type 2, I should say, is easy to reverse, right? This decision, you can walk in the door and then you can almost easily just walk right back out of it. That could be starting a new side hustle, or in my case, moving. So I think what gave me so much peace of mind making this massive move, right? We moved from Southern California all the way to Texas. It's a big move, especially, both of us didn't have family or a lot of friends out here. We really were restarting from scratch coming out here. But what gave me peace of mind was knowing that if this doesn't work out, we can always move back to SoCal. I didn't know if that meant moving back to LA or a different part of SoCal, but I don't know if I was tricking myself to just believe this, but I just kept telling myself, Bobby, if it doesn't work out, you can always move back. So to me, this was a two-way door decision, that we could walk in the door of Austin, Texas, check it out. In 10 months, if we didn't like it, we could easily walk back out, try a different city, or move back to LA. It was as simple as that. And so that gave me a lot of confidence making the move, is knowing that if we don't like it, we can always try something else. And what better way to figure out if we like it than to just go for it. Number 2, every major life decision must be calculated. Okay. We visited Austin twice before moving here together. So it was the time in April where we came out here to check it out. We liked it. Then we came back out here to look at a place that we were considering renting. On top of that, we both had been here separately before we even knew each other. So we had a little taste of Austin. This wasn't us just rolling the dice and just packing up and moving to Austin. I think there are instances where that happens to people. Life circumstances, etc., timing, they just all of a sudden, one day they're in one city, the next day they realize they're moving to another city, another state, another country. If that's how it unfolds, be my guest. But for me, it was all about being calculated. We weighed our pros, we weighed the cons, we did our research, we came out here, we tested it, we reached out to people that we knew had also made the move from LA to Austin, or who had been in Austin for a few years. We did a lot of research, which made us feel more confident with making this decision. So by the time we made the decision to move out here, it wasn't this huge like roll of the dice. Yes, it was in a way. It was us packing up everything we knew and saying goodbye to everyone we knew. But at the same time, it just felt like we had done enough work leading up to this moment of making the decision we're going to go for it. And I remember when we signed that lease, it was like, we're doing this. This is official. And we felt very confident, excited, a little nervous, obviously, at the time, but we knew this was a calculated decision. So I think that's really, really important, is to be extremely mindful just whenever you are making a major life decision in any aspect of your life. to just be mindful and be calculated about that decision. Even quitting my full-time gig was very calculated because I knew that there were these other levers that I could pull to make money to help pay my bills. And I knew there were all these other products and things I could create that would also financially help me float myself. So calculation is key. Number three, new environments welcome new identities. Being here has completely elevated me to a newer and more improved version of myself. It has been incredible. Suburb Bob is out here in the streets of Austin and he is loving it. Okay. I have created the most amount of freedom, fulfillment, peace, and happiness in my life over the last 6 months, really over the last 90 days. And it has felt so damn good. Part of this new identity of me being in a new environment, saying goodbye to everyone I know, it really gave me a lot more stillness. So I've had a lot more time to be alone, to ask myself these big life questions, or what, a huge transition for me was moving out here was my 30th birthday was back in December. So like new city, new environment, new state, new identity, new year, new decade. It just has been a lot. And I've just welcomed these changes with opening arms, this new identity. I quit my full-time job, like I said earlier, to go all into my business. That was a huge, huge step for me. And I think that's why I've felt so freeing, so much fulfillment, happiness, joy, etc. since over the last 90 days is ever since I left my full-time gig. Every moment of every day of my life is aligned with doing the things that I love. And I have just cleared my schedule from things that I don't want to do. And truthfully, the last year at my full-time gig, I didn't enjoy the work I was doing and it took so much energy out of me. And I just feel so grateful to not be in that environment anymore. So ultimately, this new environment, right? These changes could have happened to me while in LA, but I do believe that the new environment welcomed and sped up some of these changes because I had stillness and I had space to really think about it. Number four, building community takes time and effort. So I kind of hit on this one earlier, but it's been a reminder to me that it does take time. I was very fortunate when I was moving out here that I had a handful of people that I knew that were already based out here, maybe one handful. And these were great men that I was a fan of, that I saw eye to eye with, a lot of similar goals, interests, values. That gave me confidence because I knew if I had just 3 to 5 of these guys out here, they're going to have friends that are surrounded by them that are very similar. I was imagining, which is just means is a spider web of people. And I knew that if I just leaned on these people when I first got out of here, that I would eventually meet more like-minded people like them, which would open up the door to just a great community. So it has taken consistent effort to reach out to people, to be the initiator, to try to bring people together, to go out of my way to go to events or meetups when maybe I'm just mentally drained and don't want to do it. I've been encouraging myself to follow through because I do believe that the only way to build genuine community is through time of consistent time together, consistent effort. And I can say over the last 7 months, it has really transformed the relationships that I've been able to build. And I think one huge way that I've been able to build my network of community of like-minded people has been Godspeed Run Club. My buddy Danny Miranda started this run club a few months before I moved out here, and I call it my men's dating pool. So I think that's been a huge, huge hack, is just finding one experience, one weekly experience that aligns with me, morning workout, running, and it's brought like-minded men. So it's been a filter for me to meet just great men. And that's been really, really helpful. Number five, stillness and solitude helps bring clarity. So living in LA, I was living in Venice. I was there for 2+ years, 2.5. I was in the middle of the action and I loved it for that time of my life. I was walking distance from so many things that were happening on the west side of LA. I was less than a 5-minute drive from all these yoga studios and restaurants and the beach, and it was incredible. I was in the action. But as I gotten into now my early 30s, I am at a different chapter of my life, right? I now live 20 minutes outside the city of Austin and I feel calm and peaceful. I feel really good about having the space. Previously, I was a little nervous about having that much space, And there's pros and cons to living in the middle of Venice to then living on this out in the suburbs of Austin. But I wouldn't trade it now where I am because I just see so much of the upside of having space, having a street where it's quiet and peaceful and respectfully, not having homeless people disrupt the city like they were in Venice. It's really clean out here, and I love that. Also helped me be extremely intentional with what I'm saying yes to. So when I was living in Venice, it was so easy to say yes to a coffee meetup, to this lunch, to this event, to this experience, because I'm within 5 minutes away. How can I say no? But now that I'm 20, 25 minutes away, it is a full commitment to then get in my car, drive, find parking, be there, drive back. So it's helped me be so much more intentional with what am I actually saying yes to? And if I'm saying yes to it, does it align with me? Do I value it? And that's been one of the boundaries that I kind of set for myself 90 days ago is no more than 2 weekly experiences per week because I just want to be intentional with my time now being full time with my business. So, all that to say, the stillness and solitude that I've had living in the suburbs has been so peaceful and so calming and just incredible. Number 6, opportunities can flow to me no matter where I am. This was one of the biggest beliefs I had to shift moving here. I loved living in LA because it was so exciting because I felt like I was in the epicenter of all dreams and opportunities. Everywhere you go is like this chance to run into, to meet someone, not necessarily to level up your career or to be someone that's pulling and asking something from them, but it just felt so exciting to, I remember driving and I'd see like, maybe like a street was shut down because they were filming something. Like that stuff just excited me. It's like, wow, this is where the action is. This is where all the dots get connected. And I love that. But I got a lot of confidence from a friend and a mentor of mine, Zach Kravitz, who I had saw leave LA about a year and a half before we had left. And he went from LA to Scottsdale, and I saw that he just continued to elevate his business. And I was like, how is this man doing it now that he's not living in the epicenter of all the opportunities? I thought you have to be where all the opportunities are. There is no right or wrong way to do it, but what I realized and recognized in this experience of moving out here and through seeing it with Zach was that I don't actually need to be in the center for these opportunities to come knocking on my door. Honestly, sometimes those opportunities or these events, meetups, et cetera, that can be a distraction and it can lead you to saying yes to too many things, which then blocks you from just doing the thing that you need to do, AKA the work. And so that gave me a lot of confidence seeing how Zach never missed a beat, even moving out of LA. And now I'm truly a believer, having seen it for myself, being out of LA for 7 months, living 20 minutes outside of the city of Austin in the suburbs, that my location does not determine my opportunities. That with this beautiful technology of the internet, I can create an abundance of opportunity for myself no matter where I am in the world, as long as I have internet connection. And that feels freeing. And it also just feels incredible to see opportunities from abundance. Lastly, number 7, I'm the designer of my life. It didn't matter what anyone's opinion was about us making this move. I didn't really get any negative feedback or anything like that I can think of right off the top of my mind. But I knew even when starting to let people know I'm moving out of LA, it didn't matter their response. Whether if they discouraged it, it really didn't matter. If they encouraged it, I loved that and I appreciated it. But I knew that I was in control of my life, that I was designing it in a way that was aligned with me, and that this new chapter was going to create so much new room for growth and a new identity, a new version of me, a new version of us and our relationship. And I just trusted it. All that mattered was I felt confident and comfortable with doing it. Yes, it was scary, but I did believe that no matter what happens, I am the designer of my life. I can control the environment. I can control my decisions, my actions, my thoughts. So I knew no matter what environment we were thrown into when we got out here, I would find a way to make it work. And I'm happy to report back that it has been going fantastic. So shout out to you, Austin, Texas. Challenge for you. Where in your life are you afraid of leaning into change? I want you to think about that for a moment. Let me say that one more time. Where in your life are you afraid of leaning into change? What or who is stopping you? Is there a type 1 or a type 2 decision that you need to make? I would love to encourage you to take the time to consider these questions. Okay. Maybe you don't need to make a massive move like I did. That was a huge life redesign, identity shift, etc. I don't encourage or think those decisions need to happen every year. I think something as major as that, like honestly, no more than once every 2 years. I can't imagine moving more than that. It just like completely takes so much time and energy. But where in your life do you need to hit the reset button and start redesigning a new version of you in that aspect of your life? I want you to think about it, and I want you to be honest with yourself, and I want you to start taking change. And I want this episode to be the thing that pushes you to do that. 3 updates for the Life Designers community. That's all of you listening right now. Number 1, first Austin men's meetup is happening this Saturday, April 13th at 10 a.m. at Mozart's Coffee. I started doing these men's meetups last year in LA, did it in May, June, July, and then I did it in August because we were moving, and I loved them. It was a monthly meetup, brought great men together, and the problem was that I then was moving out of LA. So moving to Austin, there was a lot of time, as I just discussed in this episode, of just getting used to this new city and meeting new people, and all that to say, I'm ready to start these back up. I'm not sure if they're going to be weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. Ideally, more than once a month. But the first one's going to be this Saturday, the 13th at 10 a.m. at Mozart's Coffee. Please, if you're in Austin, come through, bring a friend. It's going to be great. It's going to be great men. And I'm going to make sure that everyone feels seen, heard, and I will have some great topics and things for us to discuss. Number 2, Life Designer Club update. This is a course in a community to help you structure your life to align with your personal and professional priorities. I've been working on this project since late January, and we are getting so close to being ready to launch. The video assets are in the final steps. Once those are locked in, we are ready to get this baby rolling. So the launch date as of now is May 1st. Yes, it's right around the corner. If this is of interest to you, I would head to my website, bobbyhobert.com, to learn more about the club. Get on the wait list. If you are on the wait list, you are going to be receiving an exclusive offer for the club that will not be released to the public. AKA, it is going to be cheaper if you're on the wait list, because I value those who believe in me and want to be part of this in the early stages. So if you want to learn more, head over to bobbyhobert.com, get on the wait list, and I will send you some email updates very soon. It is going to be great. It is a community of like-minded life designers, and I'm going to help you guys and gals through the process with videos, with the community WhatsApp group, as well as weekly live Q&A, where I'll be on calls helping all of you. So if that's of interest, check it out. And lastly, Men's Life Designer Retreat. Yes, the first ever Men's Life Designer Retreat is coming up June 21st through the 24th. That is a Friday. You check in Friday at 4 p.m. You check out Monday at 10 a.m. This is a transformative experience dedicated to designing a life of purpose, balance, and fulfillment. There's only going to be 15 men. There's a private chef. I have a yoga instructor coming in. I have special and surprise experiences that are going to be happening. We are going to be on site the entire time. This is not a vacation. This is a weekend dedicated to doing the work. And I'm going to have a bunch of solo and group exercises that we are going to go through. This is going to be a transformational experience. I can promise you that. I'm taking a lot of the things that I've learned with my one-on-one clients, and I'm implementing it into a 3-night, 4-day event and experience. And I promise you, coming out of this, you are going to be in a you're going to see yourself in the lens you see the world from a different perspective. Once again, there's only 15 spots. We currently have 14 left. Do not wait to the last minute to lock in your spot, because they will likely be sold out. If that's of interest, bobbyhobert.com, look for men's retreat, and then you can book your spot. If you do want to chat with me directly to ask me specific questions about the retreat, because I know it is a huge time and financial commitment, you can book a call on the landing page, and we'll find time to chat about it to make sure it is the right fit for you. Best way to support this episode, if you enjoyed it, screenshot it, post it to your IG story, tag me at Bobby. That's B-O, 3 B's, 4 A's, and a Y. Share out this podcast on your IG story. Let me know what was the biggest takeaway. How did this episode change your perspective? Maybe someone that follows you is going to listen to this podcast because you shared it out. So please do so. If you have not already, like, comment, review, depending on the platform you're on, please drop the reviews. It really helps the growth of the show, and it costs you nothing to do so. So please drop a review if you have a moment to do so. Thank you for tuning in. It's the Bearded Man Podcast.